Feel the energy? The blind side. Do you have a blind side? I'm going to tell you a story. There was this man, he was married, and he went out to a business function. And at this business function, he got spanked. I mean, he was stone drunk. And he came home because he got a cab. His buddies got him a cab, took him home. He came home, and his wife was there, his kids were there, and he made a mess. He fell into the coffee table and broke it. She gave him coffee. He threw it on the floor. He just was yelling and screaming, and finally he went to bed. The next morning, he woke up, and there were his clothes, nicely folded by the bed. He went to the bathroom and he knew he had gotten sick, but the bathroom was absolutely spotless. He then went out and he smelled coffee and he went down to the kitchen and there was a cup of coffee made just for him with some eggs and some hash browns and some toast. Notice no bacon or that because I'm a vegan. And he looked at it and he goes, "My God, why is everything so nice?" And the son comes in, and he says, "Son, what's going on here? Why is all this happening?" She says, "Well, Dad, I don't know what happened, but last night you were just so bombed, and you fell into this, you did this, and then Mom tried to get you to bed, and when Mom was getting to bed, she was trying to take off your pants, and you said, 'Leave me alone, I'm married.'" Blindsided you, didn't I? But you see, there's something there that I want to piggyback on because it's the idea that our subconscious mind is that which creates. Subconscious mind, unconscious mind, represents 95% of all of our thought, and we're not even aware it's there. And so to give you another idea, I'll use more of a biblical illustration of it. Remember, there's a story in the Bible about the mustard seed. Mustard seed is one of the smallest seeds you will ever find. But that mustard seed blown anywhere in a little itty-bitty crack in the middle of pavement, out of it can come this huge tree. So one time this minister was preaching this in a very Christian church, and the woman says, "I know, I'm going to pray and I'm going to get it." And she does this prayer and says, "I know," because in the Bible it said, faith of a mustard seed. So she had the faith. She says, "I'm going to move that mountain just like in the Bible." So she looked at that mountain and said, "With the faith of a mustard seed, you are moved." And she went to bed. Next morning, she wakes up, looks him back. "I knew you'd still be there." Do you see? Did she have the faith of a mustard seed? No, because in her subconscious mind, she always doubted. Isn't that interesting? So this whole idea is about how do we shift our subconscious mind. You see, they say where two or more are gathered. When two people get together and come in agreement on something, they're not saying two people. What they're saying is, because remember, there's all this symbolism, there's allegories. What they're really saying right there is, when you align your conscious mind and your subconscious mind together, now you are all powerful. And so that is what we're trying to do all the time. We're trying to put more consciously into the subconscious so that we start changing it. We change its makeup. So let's picture this. Let's picture this as a glass bottle, okay? And so let's picture our mind right now. It's got about this much in it. We're not that bright, so we've only got this much thought in it, okay? Now, in that, almost all of it is subconscious mind, right? And let's picture that it's got a bluish color, okay? Can you picture a bluish color? All right? Now, we want to change that bluish color. How do we do that? We add a drop of clear water. Did it change? No. We add another drop? No. By the time we've added water up to here, that water's clear. But think about this. If we had started here and we added a couple drops of clear water, and we added 2 drops of blue water, a couple drops of clear water, a couple drops of blue water, when we get up to the very top, what color is the water? Still blue. So what is the metaphor there? The metaphor there is we have to not go back. We can't go backwards. You see, once we've tasted something, here's a great one. January's coming up, right? January's always a time of resolutions. You hear it? Let's do a resolution. I'm going to pick one of my favorites that my son picks on me for because I have opinions on things. And one of the things I have opinions on is I choose not to put aspartame into my body based on what I've read, okay? I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying I choose not to. But what happens is I'm going to make a resolution and I'm not going to drink diet sodas or anything with aspartame, right? I'm not going to drink it. I've made that commitment. I'm going along about a week in. And what's going on in my subconscious mind? I love the taste of Diet Pepsi. I love the taste of a Diet Coke. I love to have that sweetener in my coffee. 95% of my mind says, I love it, right? And you got this little bit of conscious mind over here saying, don't do it, don't do it. Please don't do it. You got a resolution out here. What happens? Most of the time, we do it. We're guilty. I quit smoking about 150 times until one time I had a inspiration that was greater than anything. And that was almost 31 years ago. It'd be 31 years I quit smoking in March. And I remember the day really well because I was in Tampa, Florida. I had on a pair of running shorts. I just pretty much finished a run in Tampa. It was a weekend, and I had Stephen in back, and Stephen was about 9 months old, a little dude. And I had him in my arm like this, and I was walking out to the mailbox, and I was smoking a cigarette. And Stephen looked at me, and I looked at him. I said, damn. This is not the image I want him to have of being of a father. And that's when I quit. See, what happened was I had an impulse from within that was greater than my addiction to that task that I was doing. You see, that's the key to shifting our subconscious mind on anything. We have to link it to something that we truly value more than what we're trying to get rid of. Are you hearing that? We've got to find what are those things in our lives that are the so most important ones. It would go like this. If you're in a relationship, is that a good one? Relationships are always good to talk about. Now, for me, I love happy relationships. I love relationships that are easy. So you're wondering, is my wife easy? She is. She is. You see, we have that idea. We created this idea together about easy. You have to create the idea. So here's the thing. Now, I'm very competitive. If you don't know me, I'm a competitive person. I love to win an argument. I was in debate. I love to discuss. And you do that in a relationship, it's not all that serving toward joy and happiness. You know what I'm saying. Wendy, you were the first to laugh, so you've been married longer than me, haven't you? I then formed this opinion. I asked this question. This is a really good question. Would I rather be happy or would I rather be right? Do you see, there's an impulse, okay? There's the impulse from within. Would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? You ever been right and been absolutely friggin' miserable? God, raise your hands, everybody. We've all done it. We'll argue with anyone. Why am I going to say that to her? Well, I'm going to get even with her, the damn woman. And then you're lying there in bed absolutely friggin' miserable. Now, why did I say that? Did I forget my mantra? And my mantra is, I'd rather be happy than rich. You see, we have no restraints about us. I don't know, would you? I would rather be happy than rich, But I believe you can be happy and rich as well. I don't think there's any limitation there. The second your subconscious mind comes into play and puts a limitation, that's the subconscious, remember? How many people here want more money? Everybody pretty much is going to raise their hand. That's because your subconscious is filled with information saying you don't deserve more money. Because if you believed you were worthy of being a multimillionaire, you would have a multimillionaire consciousness, which would give you multimillionaire money. So being a multimillionaire for you is not a value. Did I just hit you in the head with that? I hope so, because it's not your value. Because if it were your valuable, you would have it, or you would be on your way to having it, and you would see it, and there would be no doubt in your mind. But because there is doubt, because it's not there, it's not the majority of what you want. Therefore, if it is a value, now you've got to shift your focus, and you've got to change that subconscious belief by constantly feeding it affirmative, abundant thoughts about abundance and how abundance shows up in your life. You see, this is the beauty when we talk about the law. The law is a creative impulse within all that exists that takes the sum total of everything that we think, and from that we create a mental atmosphere. From that atmosphere, we get to experience what's created. That law never lies. So how you are using that law through your mental atmosphere is always outpicturing to you in the form of your life experience. You can't run from it. You can put your sunglasses on and hide, but you can't run from it because your life will always mirror where your subconscious mind is. And isn't that great? Because now that you understand where your subconscious mind is, or you can look at your subconscious mind and begin to understand, now you can begin to do the work to change the subconscious mind, to reclaim your power and to go forward with it. So Patty, go get some mala beads and back and bring them up here, please. So as Patty comes up with the mala beads, I wasn't planning on doing this, but this is the perfect time. This is like the perfect way to bring this forward. Everyone, give Patty a hand. Oh, it's Vanna. Everybody, Vanna's coming forward. Thank you. Some people have heard me talk about this. This is something that I found when I was in India in June of 2013. And I always saw prayer beads. Why have prayer beads? But then one day when I was in meditation, the pain was so great that I couldn't meditate anymore. It was 3 hours. I'd already meditated 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours. And now I was doing my fourth meditation a day. It was 3 hours and my body was screaming. My mind was just in pain beyond belief. And I happened to have a set of beads in my pocket that someone had given me. In fact, she's over there. And I pulled it out and I just said, divine wisdom guides and directs my every thought, word, and action. And I did that on one bead, and then I did it on all 108 beads. Then I took another one. I joyously create and experience an abundant and purpose-filled life. And I did that 108 times. I unconditionally love myself and others 108 times. I did that for 3 hours. So I'm doing that, right? Remember this glass that's here? And I want to add conscious thoughts. For 3 hours, what did I put into that glass? Everything that I wanted. There was no unconscious race thought meaning the thought of the society around you. There was none of that going in. I was making a conscious choice of what I was going to feed into my mind. At that point, I became powerful. At that point, I said, I'm no longer a victim. At that point, I'm no longer going to be a whim to what's happening around me. So since that time, I have counted up in the year and a half since I went to India, I've done 2.5 million affirmations. I do 20 to 30 a day. If I'm driving in my car, I'm doing affirmations. I take my dog for a walk for 45 minutes in the morning, I'm doing affirmations. When I do prayer work, I'm doing affirmations for people. So let's say someone's asked me for prayer. I'm going to do that in an affirmation form. I'm going to do it 108 times so that my consciousness is so seeing that truth that there's no doubt that that's manifest in the mind of God, which is everywhere present. You see, this is where the power is. It's not about just coming to church and doing this thing that we call fun, because Agape is a lot of fun on Sundays. But it's about when we're by ourselves, are we willing to do the work to change that subconscious mind? Are we willing to step into our power? You see, until we find the reason to step into our power, we're not going to. One of my favorite affirmations right now is, I have hundreds of loving, harmonious, and supportive relationships. And for me, relationships are where I can look at you and have a meaningful conversation and know that you're God in expression. That's all it means. I'm not using the word friendship because I understand friendship is a word that's goofy. We've got our BFFs and our not good friends and our enemies and all that. All that means is that we don't seem to like doing the same things. Well, it doesn't matter if we don't like doing things. The question is, even if I don't like the way someone's behaving, can I look at them, can I see the God in them and know that they're using their power in their perfect way and I don't have to have an opinion? Because here's what, remember I talked about the law a little earlier, and the law is always working, it's always giving us our mental atmosphere. So if that person over there is doing something that you think is really out of integrity in that, don't worry about it. They've got a law working in their life. There will get a consequence. You don't have to even wish it upon them. You don't have to do anything. They are a magnet to what they're putting out. Do you hear that? You are always a magnet to the energy you're putting out, and everyone else is a magnet to the energy they're putting out. So the only person you ever have to worry about, are you hearing this, is yourself. We are so concerned with politicians, what business people are doing, what our family is doing, what our friends are doing. Stop being concerned. You're not their friend if you're concerned about what they're doing. You're playing a game of foolishness. Be concerned about what you're doing and being when you're with them. Are you being loving? Are you being accepting? Are you honoring yourself, saying, is this friendship even serving me? If it's not serving me, then maybe you need to move away. Is a family member in your life not serving you? Is there no possibility? Are you just doing it because you were brought up to believe that family must be? You have to be loyal to your family? That's hogwash. You were brought up to be love. And sometimes to love someone is to let them go. Why do I say love someone and let them go? Because to love someone doesn't mean you kick them out of your life. Love someone means that right now they are not a vibrational match to your energy. So in that, there's no point being with them. So you put your energy and you go be with someone who is a vibrational match to your energy. It doesn't mean at times, though, if let's say you're in a relationship with a wife, that you don't do some work on getting clarity, because you've got to establish your ground rules in everything in life. You've got to establish a framework to operate from. But once you have your framework to operate from, then you release the person and let them be themselves. Even if it's not your way. I'm going to tell you, my wife she's in upper management in a hospital. She's brilliant. She's got a mind. And she doesn't do anything the way I would do it. I'm telling you, that's why I remember when we would work in the house and she'd want to work with me, I'd say, go work in the other room. Did that mean I didn't love her? No. It meant we can't do that work together, so why force it? She has a way of doing it. Go do your thing over there the way you want. I won't butt in. I'm going to go over here and do my thing the way I want, and you're not going to butt in. And then when we come together, we've got no butts in the middle of us, and we can be loving toward each other. You hearing that? The greatest gift we give ourselves and give each other is the gift of freedom, the gift of being authentic, the gift of being unique. And so if we're parents, grandparents, children, we give those people in our lives the freedom to be themselves. We look at them, we love them, because all we're here to do is to support each other. What does support mean? It doesn't mean to help. I had a lot of young ladies that I dated before Jean, they wanted to help me. I was the type of man who needed a lot of help. Because I was very, very obnoxious. I'm going to tell you, at 19, 18, 17, I was quite the obnoxious boy. And I said boy, I didn't say man. And everyone wanted to help me. I only started to mature when I met Jean, and she gave me freedom because I had nothing to rebel against. You see, when you take away that thing that you rebel against, then there's harmony. Does that make sense? And you got to know along the way that whoever you're with, are they going to make mistakes? Hell yes. Let them make the mistakes. Why? There's no consequence. What are you going to do, die? How bad is death? Death is just the birth into the next form. It's the birth into the next dimension. We are eternal beings that will never die. We've always been, we've always will be, but we've clouded our consciousness by this idea that death is horrible. What about that young lady who had that fast-growing brain cancer, I think it was in Oregon, that made the decision to end her life as opposed to go to that? I honor her. That's her right. That's her choice. When my brother passed about 2 months ago now, if he could have, in Hawaii, I would have helped him to make that passing because I believe it's his choice. Now, he's not dead. His soul just took on a different form. His soul is in the next dimension. What does that look like? We don't know. I can't come back from that. I know I've been alive for thousands upon millions. I've been alive for eternity. And you say to me, how can you be alive for eternity? If we believe that God is all there is, and there's nothing but God, then everything is created out of God. If everything is created out of God, then whatever is true about God is true about every individual. If God has always been, always will be, is all powerful and all that, and I am a microcosm of the macrocosm, I'm a mirror image of God in a lesser dimension or a lesser form, if you want to say that, because I'm not the allness. I'm the wave on the ocean, but I'm not the ocean. And as the wave on the ocean, I have all the power of the ocean to do everything. I can be a big old tidal wave. I can be a calm, smooth little wave. I have that choice in how I express it. I also have the choice as that wave of how do I interact with other waves, you. Do I bulldoze over you as a tidal wave and consume you? Or do I gently blend with you and we do this harmonic dance on the ocean together? You see, that's what we're doing. We're doing a harmonic dance on the ocean of life. Ooh, that's poetry. I like that. I'm not a poet. Did I just limit the law? Catch myself. I didn't have to wait for my wife to tell me that time. When a fisherman's fishing and they're in the ocean, when they go out a certain depth, there's a certain type of fish they catch, right? Because fish go to certain depths of the water. You go out, you want to catch a different fish, you got to go out deeper. And then you catch a different fish. But the fish you would have caught in the lower level water, in the shallower water, you're not going to catch in the deeper water, right? And then when you go out even deeper, you're going to catch a completely different fish. But in order to go from minnows to bass or sea bass to flounders to swordfish, whatever it is you're going to, tunas, whatever, there's a depth of water. It's almost like a level of consciousness you got to go to. But to get there, you've got to leave the past behind. You've got to leave the shallow form behind. That's what's true about life. For you to go up in consciousness, you've got to leave the consciousness that is no longer serving you behind. And we want to take it forward. You see, you can't drag it forward with you. That's a big old hairy anchor. And you're trying to move forward. I can't go. There's this anchor pulling me back. You got to cut it and let it go. Almost always, not all, almost always, you've got to let go of your thoughts. It's never about a person. It's never about an event. It's never about a thing. Because a person, event, or thing only has value or influence or experience based on our thoughts about it. How we think about everything is how we experience it. So if something horrific happened in our life, the only way to get over the horrific experience is to form a new thought about it and move on and move into deeper water. Does that make sense? When I study with John DeMartini, he's probably one of the most brilliant people I've ever met in the world. He's a teacher for me. I get tremendous value from him. And he talks about that. He calls it, you got to demartini it. And what he means by that is you've got to be able to take an event that's holding you back, and you've got to attach and understand how much good came from that event. And until you get so much good and you see so much good coming from that horrific event, it's going to own you. But when you've attached the good to it, and all of a sudden there's no more charge, it's neutral, you're through it. That's what the word forgiveness means. Forgiveness means to let go of that which is holding you back, because by you holding on to it, you're only drinking the poison you want to give someone else. Wow, we covered a lot of ground today. So let me bring it back. We live a lie when we don't honor the fact of who we are. We don't honor the fact of who we are when we live our lives unconsciously. When we are consciously choosing what we want to be and how we're going to be, we are now living in our truth. And in knowing our truth, by living that, we realize that we have the power to shift, shape, and change our lives. So the question I'm going to ask you is, how long are you going to continue to tell that lie about yourself? How long are you going to believe that you're not worthy? How long are you going to believe that you're not lovable? How long are you going to believe that you don't deserve to have anything you desire? Find out what it is for you that's holding you back and look for the good. And when you look for the good, you'll find freedom. And when you find freedom, you will find bliss, you will find peace, you will find that inner joy that has been calling you forward from the moment you were conscious. Let's pray. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.